This is Spare Time Repair, and this is an Optimus CD-1760. I was recently wowed by a Sears own brand player, so I thought I'd see how this Radio Shack offering compared. Radio Shack used a few brand names for their equipment, notably Realistic and Genexxa, but Optimus was their premium line during the 1990s. That's in evidence on this 1991 model, which looks comparable to big name players from the time. This is a very small unit with decent features and a thoughtful design, including direct track access and a dimmable fluorescent display. It also includes a headphone socket with volume control, although the ender's broken off the knob in this case. The main fault with this one appears to be a bad tray belt, but as ever we won't know if it has any further issues until that gets sorted out. Either way, I am hoping to do something with the logo on the front, which is past its prime, having been rubbed a few too many times. All the case screws are on the back in this one. This really is a very compact unit. It's slightly smaller than MIDI size. This cover's going to need a good clean. Well, this isn't a transport I recognise. Initially thought it might be a Sony, but it's not. I think this is the DAC. On the front it claims to have a dual DAC system, so I'm not sure how that works, whether that's all integrated into one chip. And as tended to be the case in the 90s, we've got a fixed clamp, and it's the pickup that goes up and down. So let's remove this. Belt access doesn't get much easier than that. Don't even need to take the tray out. Of course, I'd like to remove the tray anyway. Let's turn it on and see what that belt is doing. Yeah, this is spinning, but belt's just not tight enough. Can't immediately see how to remove the trays, so I'm going to take the whole transport out. Looks like it will slide backwards without having to remove the tray front. Nice crack on the screws suggests that nobody's done this before. I'm going to put dots on these connectors so I know which one goes where. This linkage arm for the power switch is slightly crude and looks a little bit bent at the switch end. There are no visible branded chips to give us a clue as to who made this machine, although this chip on the front panel board is a Sony. I've got this thick brass rod under the tray, and that appears to be held captive, so I think the only way to remove the tray is to unscrew that rod. Just lifts off after that. We've got this spring catch down here. When that moves aside, it allows the pickup to rise. Doesn't feel very smooth though. And you probably can't tell, but that lens is absolutely filthy. Got a worm gear for the sled and another tiny belt. I need to get some smaller belts because I don't have anything that's going to work for that. I'm just going to inject a couple of volts, see how well it moves. Well, it's not moving at all. There's 3 limit switches we can clean. That one already looks pretty good. I like to lightly grip them while I clean it. You can see it's still worth doing. The limit switch for the sled is the button type, so all we can really do is spray some cleaner in there. Let's measure the resistance first. Well, it's not actuated, so that sled is obviously not in the home position. Yeah, that seems fine, but a squirt won't hurt. And the other switch is on the top side. Quite a lot of dirt on that one. I'm not sure all this grease is strictly necessary. Certainly not on the outside. That belt's not too badly deformed, but just lost a bit of its stretchiness. I'll try this one. I'm not sure why, but I do keep all my used belts, just in case they come in for something. Well, this belt is captive at this end. That won't actually come off the end of the pulley. I think I'll have to remove those 2 screws to give it a bit more slack. It still doesn't want to come off. Perhaps it's these bottom ones I need to release instead. Yeah, that's just allowed me to slide the shaft down a bit, and this will slip off. While this belt doesn't look terrible, I wonder whether it's just got a bit of grease on it. It's certainly got some sort of crud on there. I'm going to try and remove the pickup as well. There's another screw under here that's actually quite hard to get to because this board is in the way. I don't need to remove it, I just need to loosen it a touch. There we go. A lot of old sticky grease on there. And the rails are the same, so I don't need to worry about mixing them up. Well, the pickup is Sanyo branded, and the only thing that's guiding it along this worm gear is this flimsy plastic piece here. I'm surprised that that's effective. There's this spring to keep it tensioned. That feels very fragile. Just going to give that a bit of a clean. Also going to drop some alcohol on this gear. And obviously this lens needs a very good clean. Cotton swabs can leave small fibres behind, so a little air blower helps. The reason the pickup wasn't moving back and forth may have been down to crusty grease rather than the belt, and since I don't have a good replacement, I might just clean this one in soapy water and give it another try. Well, I've cleaned this with dish soap to get rid of any grease, so I should clean these pulleys as well, which honestly do feel a bit greasy. Yeah, I think you can see the yellow grease on there. Carefully slip this over and clean these rails. I'm going to clean this brass rod for the tray as well. Don't know what grease they used originally, but I think silicone grease is going to be better. Let's try and get this pickup back in. Well, I should clean these holes as well first. It feels pretty smooth. There's a lot more play in this one. This washer screw on the left. Now I can tighten the lower one. I need to reposition this bracket. It's quite a tricky plier to service. Well, the main belt is easy, but the rest of it isn't. So let's inject a couple of volts again and see if the pickup moves now. Gets to here and doesn't want to go any further. Perhaps it's the angle it was at. If I manually move it to the start, so I'm still missing a screw, perhaps that doesn't help. I don't see why it's not going any further. Went down that time. Not sure. I think all I can do is try it. Just going to clean this channel for the brass rod. But before I reassemble and test, this front panel is really filthy. Oh, looks like we've got a broken tab. Yeah, that wasn't doing any good. And the front panel goes right underneath the feet, so these are going to have to come off as well. Well, apparently it doesn't go underneath the feet, so I'm going to put that back on. And just remove these 4 screws instead. There's an earth wire down here holding it in. Pop that screw back in. These are very long screws for the front panel PCB. This is the headphone socket board. And finally the front panel is free. And I did think this whole front panel was tinted orange, but it's not, it's a filter. I'm not a fan of orange displays, so I might swap that out. Annoyingly, all these buttons seem to be welded in, so I can't pull those out for cleaning, but I could remove these ones. And I hope these tactile switches don't need servicing because there are 28 of them. It's a pretty comprehensive display. Very 1990s, and I'm actually surprised that this text is wearing off because this thing looks like it's never been cleaned, but it's going to get cleaned now and not before time. Well, the front has come up pretty well, but before I refit the PCB, I want to make a new filter. So I've got the sheet of grey. It's got a protective film on it at the moment, which is why it looks dull. I just got a pack of these in various colours from Amazon, and I'm just going to use the original one as a template. And then just cut inside the lines. It's not as thick as the orange, but that shouldn't matter. Then we can just peel the film off both sides. Well, it's not quite sitting flat, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off here. I don't know if you can see, but there's a bit of a speckling on this display, like something's been sprayed near it. So I'm just going to give that a wipe first, just using a multi-purpose cleaner. And as for these buttons, I'm just going to hope for the best, because I really don't fancy either servicing or replacing them. And I almost forgot that I need to reglue this tab on the front. And since it's broken halfway up, it's not really a good candidate for epoxy. So I think I'm going to stick it and then lay something over the top as extra reinforcement. Sprayed some accelerator on this cotton bud. I think that's going to help because it's going to evaporate before I do it. Well, I haven't done that very straight. I think it's flexible enough to twist. And I've harvested a bit more plastic off this old mini disc fascia. So I'm just going to stick that on here. I'm now wondering whether there's room for it. Will these buttons fit? Nope. Let's pry that off before it dries. Apply it to the top side instead. Maybe just a little bit of baking soda. Just make sure there's no dust on the inside of the display. I don't know why these screws had to be so long. They take ages to wind in. But all buttons are clicking, and I'd like to do something with this broken volume knob, but I'm not sure what yet. Can be very gentle with this clip. In fact, because of the way this tab fits over this metal piece, I don't think it would have worked with the bracing piece of plastic underneath, so it's just as well that I changed it. Well, I forgot to re-grease the transport. A little bit of lithium grease on the rails. It should work its own way along. And the brass rod passes through here. Not sure if that's right. Feels very stiff. Not sure I've done this right. Oh, it's because this little lever needs to go in, I think. Yeah, you can push it in when the tray's in the closed position. And that feels smoother now. So now I just need to count the dots. So this is number 4, number 3, 2, and 1. Well, let's see how the display looks first of all. Well, I think it looks better. What do you think? And for 1991, let's have a bit of seal. Well, I don't seem to have cured the tray problem. Maybe that belt was still too big, but we do have a disc read. No table of contents permanence. It's quite a noisy mechanism. Well, I guess we do have table of contents until we press stop. Well, that's just a bit silly. But we can get it back by pressing time. No, we can't. It's only momentary. It's not the fastest at searching. But that small belt seems to be holding up. I do think I need to change the bigger one though. Thankfully it's easy to do. In fact, I'm going to try one of my used ones because this one's still pretty circular and it's a lot smaller than the old one. Might be too small. I think that's too tight. Well, this one's about the same size, but it's not quite as misshapen. Nope, I didn't lubricate that brass rod though, so it might just be binding on there. I don't know why I screwed this in really. Let's just give it plenty of grease. It does feel smoother. Just going to put new grease on all these contact points. I actually forgot to reattach these ground wires before. Right, how's that looking? Oh, that's better. It's got quite a nice random play animation, though it takes its time thinking about it. And it's got a pretty comprehensive time display. You get the individual track time, how much is remaining of that track, total remaining disk time, and the total elapsed disk time. You normally only get the first three. But what about this logo? Well, I had two thoughts. I could either cut and apply a new decal using this gold vinyl, or create a negative mask around the existing logo and then just fill it in with gold paint. I think I'm favouring the second option. The tricky part is getting the correct dimensions so that it fits over the existing logo exactly. I couldn't find a vector version of the logo online, but I was able to remove the player's rear panel in order to do a high-resolution scan of the logo printed on there. In Photoshop, I straightened it up, increased the contrast, and then inverted it. Over in Illustrator, I traced all of the letters in order to give myself the vector outlines I wanted, and saved it as an SVG file ready for importing into my vinyl cutter. The tiny dimensions were a challenge for it though, and ultimately the blade didn't have enough precision. The blade just isn't fine enough to get enough detail on the letters, so they kind of look a bit lopsided, and if it's not going to improve what's already on there, then there's no point doing it. Well, the negative one definitely won't work. The positive one, I could try it because I could always pull it off again. So to apply it, we just place a piece of masking tape over the top, and then try and line it up, which is actually not very easy. I'm going to have to do this off camera because I need to get in really close. Well, perhaps it looks okay if I don't zoom in too much, but when I do it looks pretty bad. I don't know. Was there a better way to do this? And finally, to repair the headphone volume knob, I think what I'm going to do is sand this flat and then use another piece from the mini disc deck. It's got a chunky piece here that I could cut off and then stick that on there as the tone handle. Right, that is now basically flat, and with some very fine sandpaper I've got it shiny as well. Well, again, don't look too closely, but I think that's come out okay. So I'm going to wind this down to the minimum and slip it on there. Well, it's not something that's likely to get used much, but it improves the cosmetics. And for the top cover, I'm going to remove this sticker about the transport lock because it's tatty and just looks bad. And at least I've got a reference for how clean it needs to be, so I'm going to give this a good scrub. There was lots of dirt, but no real scratches, so it's actually come up pretty well. After all that, I'm still not feeling a lot of love for this player. The display is too busy for my liking, and although dimmable, it can't be turned off altogether. I've never been a great fan of track number grids, and there's certainly no need for the current selection to be flashing, but I suppose that's the 1990s for you. I keep thinking back to that Sears player and how fun it is to use, because I don't get that from the Optimus. I was also disappointed to find that it won't play CDR discs, so while it may have been Radio Shack's superior product line, it gets a thumbs down from me. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.